Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Quicora Global. UK has removed 281 migrants under France deal, minister says. The United Kingdom has started implementing its migrant exchange arrangement with France, sending back 281 migrants so far under the newly introduced one in, one out framework. The policy is designed as a pilot partnership between the two countries to better manage illegal channel crossings while creating a structured legal pathway for select asylum seekers. Approved route brings migrants into the UK. According to the Home Secretary, 350 individuals have arrived in the UK through the scheme's authorized channel from France. This route is meant for migrants who present strong asylum claims and qualify under agreed criteria. The exchange model works on a matching principle. For each migrant returned to France, another is accepted into Britain through a controlled and lawful process. Why the numbers don't match yet? Officials acknowledged a gap between the number of migrants returned and those received. The Home Office attributed the imbalance to operational hurdles on the French side, which reportedly delayed at least one scheduled transfer flight. Authorities insist this is a temporary disruption and say future flights are expected to even out the figures and stabilize the exchange rate between both nations. Sharp political criticism emerges. Opposition voices have reacted strongly. The Shadow Home Secretary described the results as deeply disappointing, arguing that removing only a few hundred migrants is insignificant compared with the tens of thousands who arrived through irregular routes last year. Critics claim the probability of any illegal channel crosser being returned under this system remains extremely low, calling the rollout ineffective so far. Government defends pilot program strategy. In response, ministers emphasized that the agreement is still in its testing phase. They stressed that early-stage numbers were always expected to be limited. Practical challenges such as detention capacity, identity verification, and flight scheduling affect how quickly removals can be processed. Leaders maintain that the real value of the pilot lies in building a repeatable, cooperative removal mechanism with France. Channel crossings continue at high levels. Small boat arrivals remain a central concern. More than 41,000 migrants crossed the English Channel in 2025, marking an increase over the previous year and reaching the highest total since the 2022 surge. The government hopes the threat of swift return to France under this agreement will discourage dangerous crossings organized by smuggling networks. Early phase showed slow movement. When the program first launched last September, exchange figures were modest. By October, only a few dozen migrants had been transferred in each direction. While officials now report gradual growth in participation, the totals are still small compared with the broader scale of channel migration flows. Awareness and messaging challenges. Another unexpected barrier was low awareness among eligible migrants about the legal entry pathway tied to the exchange program. Authorities say outreach efforts have since improved, noting that governments must compete with organized smuggling groups that spread misleading information quickly and effectively. Downing Street signals patience. Government spokespeople caution against judging the policy too early. They underline that fluctuating numbers are normal in bilateral pilot programs and insist performance should be measured over time. The administration remains confident that operational refinements and stronger coordination with France will steadily improve results. I've come home, British Indian ex-MP defects to anti-immigration reform UK. Sala Braverman has made a bold and attention-grabbing political move, becoming one of the most senior Conservative figures to defect to Reform UK, the party led by Nigel Farage. The former Home Secretary announced she is ending her decades-long association with the Conservative Party, declaring that it has failed to deliver on immigration control and voter trust. Public break with the Conservative Party. At a London event alongside Farage, Braverman confirmed she had formally resigned her Tory membership after roughly 30 years. The MP for Fareham and Waterlooville described the moment as decisive and overdue. She said she could no longer remain aligned with a party that, in her view, repeatedly makes commitments it does not keep. Her message centered on frustration with what she called policy drift and broken promises. Growing list of high-profile defections. Braverman is not alone in her departure. Several prominent former conservative ministers, including Robert Jenrick and Nadim Zahawi, have also moved toward Farah's political orbit. Her switch brings the total number of conservative MPs who have defected to Reform UK to 8. This pattern signals a widening fracture within the right-leaning political bloc and suggests Reform UK is becoming a stronger magnet for disillusioned Tory figures. A stark warning about Britain's direction. In her remarks, Braverman painted a troubling picture of the country's condition. She argued that immigration levels are excessive, public systems are overstretched, and many citizens feel unsafe and unheard. She also pointed to young people seeking opportunities abroad as a sign of national decline. According to her, Britain faces a defining choice: continue on what she described as a path of managed decline or pivot toward firmer leadership and national renewal. Farage welcomes a cabinet veteran. Nigel Farage greeted Braverman's arrival with enthusiasm, saying her move was a matter of timing rather than surprise. He emphasized her experience at cabinet level, presenting her as proof that Reform UK is attracting established power players, not just protest candidates. Farage framed the defection as validation of his party's direction and message. Mutual praise and political alignment. Braverman openly praised Farage, calling him one of the few politicians she believes has remained steady and outspoken about his principles. She credited his long-running stance on sovereignty and immigration as a key reason for her confidence in joining Reform UK. The public display of mutual respect underscored their ideological alignment. Controversial Tory response. The Conservative Party's first reaction stirred backlash after a statement implied her decision related to mental health concerns. Critics quickly challenged that framing, and the statement was revised. The updated version suggested her departure was expected and questioned whether her motivations were driven more by ambition than service. A career marked by influence and controversy. Braverman has been a prominent figure on the conservative right and previously campaigned for party leadership. She served under several prime ministers, but also faced 2 high-profile removals as Home Secretary, once over a rules breach and later after controversial public commentary. Her latest move now reshapes the right-wing political landscape and sets up an intense battle for voter loyalty. Rwanda sues UK over scrapped asylum seeker deal. Rwanda has officially escalated its dispute with the United Kingdom by launching interstate arbitration over unpaid funds tied to their now-cancelled asylum transfer agreement. The video marks a sharp legal turn in a partnership that once aimed to reshape how asylum claims were handled, but instead became one of the most contested migration policies in recent UK history. Legal battle filed at The Hague. Kigali has taken the matter to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, seeking £50 million in compensation. According to reports, Rwanda argues that the UK failed to properly close out the agreement and still owes the scheduled payment. Officials say arbitration became unavoidable after diplomatic channels failed to produce results. Rwanda's Justice Ministry advisors emphasized that legal action was a last resort after repeated attempts at dialogue stalled. The original deportation plan. The agreement, first signed between the UK and Rwanda, was designed to relocate certain asylum seekers who arrived in Britain by small boats across the Channel. The policy was promoted as a deterrent strategy to discourage irregular migration routes. Despite the bold framework, only 4 voluntary participants were ultimately relocated under the scheme, far below projections. Deal terminated by new UK leadership. When Prime Minister Keir Starmer took office in July 2024, he immediately cancelled the arrangement, calling it permanently closed. The deal had originally been introduced in 2022 under former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Before its cancellation, the UK had already transferred approximately £240 million to Rwanda, with another £50 million installment expected later, the very payment now at the centre of the legal clash. British officials say they will firmly defend their position and safeguard taxpayer funds. Aid cuts and regional tensions add fuel. The dispute unfolds against a backdrop of strained relations. The UK previously reduced much of its financial aid to Rwanda over allegations related to regional conflict involvement in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Rwanda criticized that decision as politically motivated and punitive, adding further friction between the two governments. Court rulings and legal roadblocks. The asylum partnership faced continuous legal resistance from the start. In November 2023, the UK Supreme Court ruled the deportation framework unlawful under international law, effectively halting its implementation. Arbitration proceedings reportedly began months later and remain ongoing. Migration pressures continue to rise. Immigration remains a defining political issue in post-Brexit Britain. Channel crossings have surged, with roughly 37,000 arrivals recorded in 2024 and more than 40,000 in 2025, the highest levels in several years. Tragically, multiple fatalities have occurred along these dangerous routes. Authorities say around 50,000 undocumented individuals have been removed from the country through enforcement actions. New UK, France migrant swap plan faces scrutiny. More recently, the UK and France introduced a migrant exchange framework intended to return some arrivals while admitting those with verified UK family links. However, critics argue the system is harsh and ineffective, with humanitarian groups warning it could undermine asylum protections rather than fix the system. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you soon, take care.